Everybody wants to break down the geometry. Last minute geometry. We're going to be dealing with a set of questions that deal with L-I-N-E-S lines. All right. So one of the things you want to get very familiar with are the basic fundamentals of lines. So here we've got a question. Oh, by the way, in the last video, I said if you needed to get in touch with me, you can contact me, and I didn't give you my information. So you can contact me at 786-877-7231. Like, comment, share, subscribe. If you subscribe, you get alerted to the next video that pops up. And if you get alerted, then you better sit down for about 15 minutes and break this sucker down. All right, let's go into our line questions. Whoop, whoop. Oh man, how did I get rid of this thing? Whatever. Let's just get busy. Line. So we got this business going on over here. It's a question number 3. So we know it's going to be an easy question. Remember, we talked about order of difficulty. So if it's an easy question, how do we deal with this sucker? Let me close that sucker. All right. I'm going to go with the basics. I see the image first. I don't care about the question right now. I do know vertical lines. You guys remember what vertical lines are? I mean, vertical angles. That's 33. So this must be 33. Now, if the two lines that are shown to me, right, lines M and N, I'm going to predict that these are parallel lines. And if they are parallel lines, then that means the 33 and 33 are going to repeat here and here again. So both of these would be 33. If those two lines are parallel, more than likely they are. So in the SATs, they love parallel lines. So more than likely they are, but you have to make sure that they are. Now, if those lines are 33, if those angles are 33 degrees, then that means this must be what? Which would be equal to this. Now, we know in any circle, we have 360 degrees. And we know that any straight line, we have 180 degrees. Now, if I were to connect the two blues and the two greens angles together, we get 360 degrees. But what would be my degree measurement on a straight line? We said it's 180 degrees. So if I do have this 33 degrees here, that means the rest of this guy is going to be the difference of 180 minus 33, which would give us a little number of 10 minus 3 is 7, and 7 minus 3 is 4. 147. All right, let's go into the question. See, all I did was check out the image and know what I already know, right? It's basic information of geometry, and that's basically what they're going to test. Easy question. M is parallel to N. Yes, so everything will work. That means that this angle over here is going to be the same as this one. So if this is going to be 147, that must be 147. This is 147, and that must be 147. Why are we doing parallel lines? What's the value of X? That value of X is going to be 147 in the house. Because why? 147 and 33, they do equal 180 degrees. Question number 8, deal with the same thing. I'm going to look at the image first. I see that's X degrees, which must be equal to 145 degrees. If I needed to figure out what these two suckers are, what's 180 minus 145? It's going to be 35 degrees there, and that'll be 35 degrees there. If I connected the blue angles and the red angles all together, I know it's going to combine to create 360 degrees. Why? Because every circle, a circle has 360 degrees, but don't forget any four-sided image also has 360 degrees, which will come up later. Now, the other thing I noticed is I have lines M and N, and more than likely they're going to be parallel because the SATs love testing parallel line rules. We go into the question to make sure now. Line M is parallel to line N. All right, excellent. Now, pay attention to the question carefully, because now we've gone into a medium level question. It's like one step beyond easy. One question beyond easy, so it's a medium level question. So let's take a look carefully. Line K intersects both lines. Line K. All right. So to tell me that this line intersects both lines, which means that everything that happened here and here is going to repeat here and here, and everything that happened here and here will repeat here and here. Same angle measurements. So which of the following statements is true? So we answer this carefully. We go from the bottom up. Whenever you have worded answers, bottom up, please. The value of X cannot be determined. Forget that noise. We already figured it out. The value of X is equal to 145 degrees. Yeah, that's 145. That's 145. So therefore, C is the best answer. Now you can verify the other answers. The value of X is greater than 145. Nope. The value of X is less than 145. Nope. So C must be the best answer. All right, this is a tricky line question. Why? Because it's a hard question. So we've gone like one step beyond medium level questions. Like questions 1 through 7 in a digital test would be easy. Questions 14 through 21 will be, questions 8 through 14 or 15 will be medium level. And then right on the cusp of hard questions. Again, I'm going to assume that lines M and N are parallel. More than likely they are. But let's take a look at what we know within the image. This is angle X. So that means the vertical angle Y must be exactly the same. But they're not giving me numbers. They might give it to me in a question. And then I see I got angle Z. This is the acute angle, which must be equal to this acute angle. So I got two obtuse blue angles. Obtuse means greater than 90 degrees, and acute means less than 90 degrees. So if these guys are parallel, that means that those two red angles will be repeating here and here, and the two blue angles will repeat here and here. All right, let's go into the question, knowing that this is a hard question that most students have answered incorrectly, and see why they're making it trickerations. If x is equal to 6k plus 13, I'm going to have to redraw this on a piece of paper. My scratch paper is 6k plus 13. And y equals 8k minus 29. That means that this angle is 8k minus 29. All right, then what is the value of z? All right, now how do I figure out the z? They got me doing some extra work. So now they're combining algebra with the geometry. If I know those two angles, the two blue angles are going to be equal to each other. Let's set these guys equal to each other. 6k plus 13 is equal to 8k. I need to solve for k is equal to minus 29. All right, let's do our business. I'm going to subtract 6k from both sides. So that's going to leave me with 13 is equal to 2k minus 29. All right, what do I do with that 29? I'm going to add 29 to both sides. Now I have 2k is equal to 29 plus 13, which should be 242. So what will k equal? K will equal, we divide 2 by both sides, which will equal 21. We good? All right, but what's the next step? See, this is a step-by-step problem. So we did part A. Let me label that as part A. What's going to be part B? We're going to take that 21 and plug it right back into one of the formulas. I'll stick it into this one because I don't feel like subtracting using 8k minus 29. So I'm going to use 6k plus 13. So let's do this. What is 6 times, what's our k? It's 21 and then plus 13. Now we're going to get this angle measurement as an angle, right? So what's 6 times 21? Looks like it's going to be 126 plus the 13. Let me put it underneath here. And that's going to equal 139 degrees. So if this is 139 degrees, then what must the red angle be? Well, we subtract 139 from 180. So we get 10 minus 9 is going to be 1. 7 minus 3 is going to be 41. So that means this is 41 degrees. That's 41 degrees. Z is 41 degrees. And your mama said, what's up? And you got the answer to the question. Pretty good? Not bad, huh? All right. Oh, but notice that they gave you baited answers. See, answer B is bait. That's when we solve for K. That is bait, and it's a wrong answer. What else is bait? See what we did? We figured out what angle X and Y were, but they wanted angle Z. So these are baited answers. Pretty slick of these guys. That's what makes a question hard. Question number 10, that would be a medium level question. Now we're dealing with four-sided images. What do we know? Any four-sided image equals 360 degrees. And I mean any four-sided image, even this one, 1, 2, 3, 4. That is also equal to 360 degrees. Why? Because where are the angles? We got this angle, that angle, this angle. Don't forget this big fat angle right there. Woo-wee. All right, here we go into the question. Square X has a side length of 12 centimeters. On a side scratch piece of paper, I'm going to draw my square roughly. I got side 12 measurement, 12 and 12 measurements all the way around. But then they tell me about this perimeter of square Y, right? Is 2 times the perimeter of square X. All right, what is the perimeter of square X? Now I got to think outside the box. Why? Because this is a medium level question. So my perimeter of square X is going to be 4 times 12, which is 48, right? So my perimeter is 48. Now I got my square Y. They said square Y is 2 times the perimeter of square X. So what's 2 times 48? That's going to be 96. Then they're asking, what is the length in centimeters of square Y? So everything is all about centimeters, so I'm good to go. So what's going to be my the length of one side of square Y? I must divide this 96 by what? 4 equal sides. Remember, a square has 4 equal sides. So if I do divide that, that's going to give me 4 goes into 9 2 times. I already see the answer is going to be this guy because that's not a 2, that's not a 2, that's not a 2. So bang, bang, bang. Let me confirm though. Carry the 1, 4 goes into 16 4 times. So my answer is D as in double to the troubles. For show, for show, for show. Question number 6. This is going to be an easy question. Let's go into, oh, no image, no answer choices. So I'm going to be careful. Even though I know it's easy and I've been practicing, I have to be careful because the biggest error that high GPA students make is A, they rush, they go too fast. 20 to 30 seconds per question is plenty of time. So slow your roll. Don't go too fast. And for those who are very slow with the math, trust your instincts. You know it's going to be easy question. You can trust it a bit more. Each side of a square has a length of 45. Draw out that square, yo. Just don't use your brain because remember, this section comes up after 2 reading sections, so you might be a little tired. So each side of a square has a length of 45. What is the perimeter of the square? Oh, the perimeter is the sum of all sides. So just draw them. You got 90 here, you got 90 there. What's 90 plus 90? 180. Woo, woo, woo. And that's your answer to this question. Question number 20. Ooh, this is supposed to be a hard question. Remember, we're going deep. Once we get into 20s, we're in the deep, deep, deep part of the pool. No answer choices in this question, but I know it ain't going to be hard if I know my business. Now, this is dealing with rectangles, specifically area. What is the area in square centimeters of a rectangle with the length of 34 and 29? Draw your rectangle. My shortest length is 29. I put it there. I'll put that 34. And what is the area of, oh, what if you don't remember? Oh my goodness, what's the area of the square? Well, or the rectangle? Area of a square, here, side note. If I said this is 2 by 2, squares have equal sides all the way around. What would be the area? You multiply the sides together. 2 sides together, or 2 squared, is going to equal an area of 4. Well, what do you do with a rectangle? It's going to be length times width. Bang, bang. You multiply those two together, and oh my goodness, I don't have my trusty calculator. 34 times 29. No, I ain't that quick. I mean, I practice well enough to be slick in the test, but I ain't that fast. 986. Let me verify because I got that cheap calculator. You know what I'm saying? 34 times 29 equals 986. And that's the answer to your question for the area. Now, let me back that up, right? What if they ask us for the perimeter? You got to be prepared. If they're asking us for the perimeter, be careful because students will read the word perimeter and their brain is thinking, "Oh, I got to find the area. Let me go to the guide and see what the perimeter is." All right, let's go to that guide, right? If I go to the guide, oops, hold on one second. Oh, I always do this. Is this right? Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Here, I go to formula guide and students go, oh, here it is. Here it is. I got it. And then they go back and they multiply 34 times 29. No, if the question is asking for the perimeter in your formula guides, you don't have to formula for the perimeter. So what will students make? They'll make a careless error and they multiply the side measurements and get the error rather than perimeter. Be careful. So the perimeter is going to be the sum of all sides. So if I have a length, I have to add the other length. I have a width, add the W and add the other W. And then I've got my measurement for the perimeter. So don't forget, if it's perimeter, be very careful. You're adding up all 4 sides to get your perimeter and ding dong, you own that tricky question. But the answer to this question, remember, if I back that up, the answer to this question was 986, I believe. Yeah, I believe it's 986 because all we're doing is what? Multiplying the 2 sides to get our area. 986. Woo woo. All right, next question, number 18. This is considered a hard question also, right? Because remember, questions 1 through 7 is going to be easy, and then 8 through 14 or 15 is going to be medium level. After 15 is going to be hard questions, especially the 20s. Let's take a look at this guy. We see our answer choices, which looks kind of weird for geometry, but let's get busy. Square P has a side of X inches. All right, let me draw that square P. Has side measurements of X inches. Notice, they didn't say each side. It just says square P has a side length of X inches. So it's already implying that all sides are going to be X, but you have to know that business. They're not going to be explicit in question number 18 on up. Now, they give you a square Q. I'll do square Q in red. What do they tell us about square Q? They said it has a perimeter 176 greater than the perimeter square P. All right, so what's the perimeter square P? Now we got maybe a 2-step, 3-step problem. So step 1, what are we going to do? Let's figure out the perimeter of square P. So we got x, x. So if we add all sides, x plus x plus x plus x, we're going to get 4x for the perimeter. Now, the second square, the red square, they said square Q is 176 inches greater than the perimeter square P. So what is square P again? 4x. And then it says plus 176. So that is the perimeter of the red square. Now, what are the side measurements of the red square? Well, what do we know about squares? We have 4 equal sides. So if we divide this sucker by 4 4x divided by 4 is going to be x. And then 176 divided by 4 is going to be a positive 44. So that means the side measurements of this red square is going to be x plus 44 plus x plus 44. If you're doing a perimeter, you add the other plus x 44, x plus 44. And that would equal your 4x plus 176. Let's go into the question and make sure we know what we're doing. The function f gives the area of the square q. So we have to figure out the area of square q. Which of the following defines that area? Well, all we need to do is multiply one side by the other side, which looks like this is the answer. And ding dong, that which is dead, yo, for sure. All right. Next question, number 23. I think we're wrapping the sucker. Is we got another one? Oh, this is all right. We know this question number 23 is going to be hard, but Mr. Alberto, the test only goes up to question 22. Well, in the paper-based version, it goes up to 27. So I like using paper-based questions because we have access to more questions, which means it's going to make you sharper in the end so you can cut up this test. All right. We see the answer choice again. They look kind of weird, right? But we have no fear. Let's go into this. A right rectangular prism has a height of 9 inches. All right, I'm going to draw a rectangular prism, which is a 3D image. So if you're not good at drawing, this might be a disadvantage for you. So I'm going to put a measurement of 9 for the height here. All right, now, since it's a rectangular prism, hold on. All right, here we go. La, da, 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 da. I'm going to do this. I'm going to try and make it 3D. All right, okay. Let's read the rest of the question. It says the length of the prism's base is x inches. All right, I'll do this. Let's say that is x inches right there, right? So I got that so far, which means that this would be x inches also. Let me continue reading. Which means that base, which, that's a pronoun. What comes before the comma? The x inches. So the base, which is, or that base is 7 inches more 7 inches more than the width of the prism's base. So what does that mean? You know what it means? This is a slick question. When they say 7 inches more, students get a little confused. They said that x is 7 inches more than the width. All right, so the length is x, which is red, but now I drew my green line. That green line is going to be x. Check this out, x minus 7. Why? Because this x they told us is just x, and they said which is that x is 7 inches more, which means that this side is going to be minus 7. So just to prove it, this is kind of a mind bender. When I show the students, they're like, "Oh man, I'm kind of confused." All right, let's come up with a number for x. Let's say x equals 10. So what would be the green line measurement? Well, then it would be 10 minus 7, which would equal a length of 3. So based on the question, what they told us here, they said x is 7 inches more than the width. So is 10 7 inches more than 3? Yes. So therefore, you're dealing with x for the length, and the width is x minus 7. Isn't that dirty? All right, because most students would say x plus 7 because the way the question is worded, but it's not that business. They're playing games with you. All right, let me do a little 3D action here. All right, now we got the 3 dimensions. Now, at the beginning of the test, they give you a formula guide. And what is the volume of any 3D prism? It's going to be length times width times height. All right, in this case, what's going to be our answer when the question is asking which function gives the volume of the prism in cubic inches in terms of length in the prism's base? So we know if we multiply 9 times x minus 7, we'd have our answer. Well, I know answer choice A is wrong because I don't know what the x plus 9 is dealing with. I don't know what the x plus 9 is dealing with there. But I do know I have C and D left over. Which one matches with 9 times x minus 7? Looks like 9 times x minus 7. D is our answer. Be careful. Most students bite on this one. Now, if you've seen this question, you understand it, you are smarter than most of the people in the county you live in. All right, guys, that wraps up page 1. I hope you understood the basic line rules and basic square rules. If you can understand this business, you're going to whoop some tail at the last minute when you take the next SAT. But after you take that next SAT with last minute prep, you're going to know exactly what you need to do the 5, 6, or 7 weeks, possibly even 10 weeks leading up to the next exam. That's skills to pay the bills, Bubba. All right. So if you need access to additional information, you need to contact me, like, comment, share, and please don't forget to subscribe, because if you subscribe, you get access ding to a new video that'll pop up later.